Always good to see you, Chris. Hope or false hope after last night's win by the Timberwolves?
Well, DP, I think you have to go off of history. And history will tell us no team has come back from an 0-3 deficit. So with that being said, I have to say it's false hope.
Okay, what changed last night in your opinion, and does that continue to change in the next game here in Minnesota?
Well, there were a couple of things that changed, but number one was Karl Anthony Towns, showed up on the offensive end, played efficiently. And I think if you look at his game and how he operated in that game, he didn't shoot his first three till later in the game. He was attacking and getting downhill, getting to the paint and finishing. Now, he was in foul trouble, but offensively, he was very effective and efficient. And that helped Anthony Edwards, who the last couple of games is trying to been exerting his energy. And so in his offensive prowess, but he had a sidekick the other night. And so I think that's what helped. Now, the question is, can Cat continue to do that? Because this series is just it just hadn't been a good series for him thus far.
Topic of conversation on the most dynamic, best scoring backcourt in history. Do you buy into the Kyrie Luka? That's the best scoring backcourt in NBA history?
You always do this, DP. The best scoring backcourt duo. I would say they're off the top of my head, they're probably the most talented offensive scoring duo. We heard what Draymond said about his guys, talking about Steph and Clay, but I would say skill-wise, Luka and Kyrie, pound for pound, are better offensively. Look, I would like to hold off and wait until at least they get a championship. They get a championship, then we can talk. Somebody gave us a question on our Altcast last night asking if the Dallas Mavericks won last night, if that would cement Kyrie's legacy. I'm like, cement his legacy in what? We talk, this is the conference finals. Like, what? Can we stop? Can we hold off, please? Can we get to the very end? Now, if you get a championship, we can talk like Luka. He's arguably the best player in the game. But if he gets a championship, I'll stamp that. Winning the championship is always favored the best player in that series. I remember when Dwayne Wade won his championships and there were arguments if he was the best player. And some would say yes, some would say no, but he won a championship. You couldn't deny that. So I like to get to the end of the road before we start talking this stuff, DP.
I've been talking patience this morning with our expectation level, whether it's Caitlin Clark or Bronny James. Having perspective here and 40 years of watching young players come in and they get chewed up sometimes. Sometimes we give them a little bit more rope. Not anymore. We want immediate gratification, whether it's a coach in Phoenix or L.A. Hey, you could be one and done or 2 years and done. Our star athletes, we want them. You're getting paid. We want to see you play. You better be playing at a high level. When did it change that we didn't allow almost a grace period to allow these athletes to kind of get their legs?
I think social media has played a part in that, where everybody has a voice. So there's more takes, there's more commentary. Everybody feels like they have to say something. Look, DP, I think what it is that, this generation today, they're in the microwave age. They want to pop a meal in the microwave and they want it. And if it's heating for longer than a minute, they don't want it. Their attention span is lost. But you know what? There's something great about putting a meal in a crock pot or putting that bad boy in the oven for 8 hours, allowing it to simmer. Then when it comes out, that meat's just falling off the bone. Or if you like to barbecue like me, put in that smoker for 8, 10, 12 hours. Let it take your time. You wrap it up. You put if you got some ribs or whatever, you put your honey down there on the meat. You put your brown sugar, and you just wrap it up in foil, put it back in that bad boy another 4 or 5 hours, and then it comes off, and man.
You're too young to have this kind of perspective. Let's guess how old Chris Haynes is, okay? Todd, I'm going to go with you.
Chris Haynes is 39.
Okay, I was going 38. Seton.
think you guys are being rude. He's 36.
All right. Marvin?
That hairline is beautiful. But you know he an OG though, so I'm gonna say 42.
Okay.
He looks like he was like 2 years ahead of me in high school.
All right. As Buck O'Neil would say, good black don't crack.
Yeah.
Sure don't.
Yep. Okay. All right. Paulie?
This is really tough. His shoe game, 40 years old even.
All right.
40 years old, even shoe game. You know, I always keep. Come on, guys.
You always got him close by.
Oh, come on now.
All right. Here we go. Chris Haynes, Bleacher Report, TNT is?
I believe Marlon got it. 42.
Wow.
Come on now.
All right.
Yeah.
He still got game, too.
I'll be 43 the end of August 31st.
All right. Help me understand what's going on with Rich Paul. Did he slip up and say LeBron's a free agent, or was that premeditated? And and how is he he's almost trying to orchestrate where Bronny's going to go, as if they have a choice where he's going to go. It's not like you're a high school athlete picking your college, but man, I get the feeling that Rich Paul is at least presenting this to other teams that we're going to dictate where he's going to go, and if you don't abide by us, we don't want. And I don't know what I don't know what he could do if a team drafts Bronny. What are you going to do? Can't go back to college. So, what do you think? What's Rich Paul's game here?
Well, I think first I'm going to answer a couple questions a couple ways, DP. So first of all, I think what he wants is Bronny to be drafted first and foremost. When you get drafted, it's not DP. Back in the day, I wasn't covering the league back in the day, but in the 90s, I remember when second round picks, DP. Remember, most second round picks didn't make the team. They didn't get guaranteed contracts back then. That it's changed over the last 10 years. Second round picks are getting 3-4 year guaranteed deals. They're getting commitment. They're getting time and resources invested into them. So Rich Paul's statement to me about him he's not going to allow Bronny James to sign a two-way contract, and people took that as he's going to try to keep Bronny from going to the G League. No, it's not that. It's that he would rather Bronny get drafted, which means the team is showing a commitment, and he could get 3-4 years guaranteed money under his belt. And also about the dictating, I think, I think basically if there is any dictating, I think the only dictating is, as of right now, only power he has in dictating is trying to tell teams and inform the league that two ways will not be considered. So if you're really thinking about having a chance of getting Bronny, it's going to take one of your draft picks. I think that's what he was trying to get to the masses.
Okay, but what if a team drafts him and says, "Hey, we're going to send you down to the G League"?
That's fine. No, that's fine. If you draft him, he's still getting a 3-year minimum guaranteed deal.
Yeah.
And that's the investment. That's the commitment. When you get a two-way, that's a year deal. Then, you play 40-something games in the NBA, 40-something games in the G League. If things work out, they can move on after a year. So that's the difference between a two-way deal and then getting drafted, where that's actually a commitment that a team is putting into you, and they're going to give you a 3-year, 4-year guaranteed deal. And so that's where Rich Paul is trying. That's the direction Rich Paul is trying to steer his client in.
LeBron going to re-sign with the Lakers?
DP, I have a hard time believing he's going to go anywhere else. And I'm sorry to answer your question about the slip up. Was it a slip up? I don't know. What I will say is a lot of players and agents feel like if their client has a player option, they view it as being a free agent because they have that option to pick it up or not. But you're technically not a free agent until you decline that player option. So I don't know if people saw the altcast. I immediately, as soon as Rich Paul said, Blonde's a free agent, I had to look. So if you look at the altcast, look at the replay. He says LeBron is a free agent. So I looked down because, this is my job. It's my job to stay up on top of this. I look down and start Googling. I'm like, when did LeBron announce he was declining the player option? And I couldn't find it nowhere. So then I'm waiting, and I got my head back up, and I waited till Rich Paul to finish. And then I, went and interjected, like, hold on, you mean he's declining that player option? And he was like, Chris, I'm not going to negotiate on air. We'll get to that down the road.
Are the Lakers waiting to announce their head coach until the finals are over because that coach might be working the finals?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if their next head coach is anybody but J.J. Redick. everything that I'm hearing is JJ Redick. And from what I know, he's doing some background, calling some candidates, some assistant coaching candidates who might be able to join his staff or might not be able to join his staff. And so, yeah, I'm pretty positive it'll be JJ.
So you have the most experienced NBA player in history coached by the least experienced head coach in the NBA.
Yeah. Well, we've seen coaches getting those type of opportunities. Steve Nash got a great opportunity as his first head coaching gig. Jason Kidd did the same thing. Derek Fisher. We're starting to see a trend.
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr. I mean, we're looking at, you see what Steve Kerr turned out to be. Look at Jason Kidd. He's a win away from leading this team to the NBA Finals. So it's had some success, but that's a tough job to take. It's just a tough job to take. I mean, this is LeBron James. I understand JJ and LeBron get along well. They have a podcast. That's just a tough job to accept. Under Rob Pelinka's tenure, he is fired. Let me see. Luke Walton fired Frank Vogel, and he's fired Darvin Ham. So he's safe. So if anybody's going to get some blame, it's going to be the head coach. That's why, and there's high expectations with that team, as there should be anytime you have a team with LeBron James. On top of that, being the Los Angeles Lakers.
Celtics waiting for the winner of this series, but let's say the Celtics win the title. How will history treat this year's Boston Celtics?
I think it'll treat them favorably. I mean, they had a phenomenal season. They were the most dominant team for the entire 82-game season. I know we like to talk about the path that a team takes, but all you can do is play against the opponent that's right across from you. So I don't think we're going to diminish them. Now, when you start having debates about who's the best teams, I don't know that this Boston Celtics team will be up there. But I will say this. I definitely would like to see the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics meet in the finals. I just think it'll have some interesting subplots going on, make it more interesting. And maybe that can boost her up if the Celtics were to win the title. Maybe that can boost her up just how relevant and dominant this team has been if we can have a good series first and foremost, and then have some drama to go with it.
Yeah,
that can't help.
But imagine if Boston doesn't win the title.
That's a problem. that is a problem. Now listen, I've covered the Celtics the last 4 years since they've been on their championship run, and they can disappoint you. The moment you think they've got it all figured out, the moment you think they got those turnovers out of the way, the turnovers come back. The shot selection, gets horrible again. So they have a tendency to, I don't want to say play down, but they have a tendency to not play to the level of expectations. So if they were to lose, like, this would be a big blemish on the Celtics in general. I'm talking about just this whole team, the whole core cast. They have to get it done. It's their championship to lose.
Great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us as always, Chris.
Hey, I appreciate all those that said mid-30s, late 30s. I'll take it.
That's Chris Haynes, senior NBA insider for TNT Bleacher Report and part of the Western Conference Finals Altcast airing on True TV.